Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Um, I think you like the crab rave, Malik. So I did a tweak to my memory management. I have no idea if it's really going to cause a side effect or not, but basically I replicated what's on live. We'll see. Nice. We can do some combines. Let's see how many. Trying to get Othmer stuff max. So I'm at 218, so I'm getting close. And I've been working on a fun project. I still need to fix my health bar issue. I still kind of we ran out of cat pattern. Go fix that. Ooh, does maybe feel more performant. I can feel it a bit when I'm moving. Anyways, we're gonna go to Neriac because that is the zone I'm the most comfortable with. We're just gonna head over here. And usually I go left. Then right here is the cat merchant. And the patterns are on him. We can just hang out here while I combine. That's a classic location. Anyways, hope you guys are doing well. I'm working on a pretty exciting project. Oh, we're at a silver thread now. Of course. When you set up shop, you're going to start missing parts. So one of the projects I've been working on is Tempo created this project called Nexus, and it was a EverQuest patcher. There is, and it essentially works on when you're in server select. When you select the server, it'll actually audit and do a checksum and patch your files for you at that phase. But one of the things he wrote for that was a file path kind of interceptor, and it was really, really cool how he did it. So I'm basically taking his effort and putting it into what's called EQ Core. If you're not familiar with EQ Core, it's actually the foundation that a lot of the mods that THJ is using actually leverages. And I don't want to take credit for EQ Core because ultimately all that is it was a it's interesting. Whenever I start streaming, it's like my voice becomes hoarse and I can't talk clearly. And I have like that feel, like that gunk in your throat, and it's like super annoying to talk. I don't know why that keeps happening. Like you can hear it now, right? It just started happening recently. Let me get some water. Maybe that'll help. So yeah, EQ Core. EQ Core is essentially a cleanup of code that Secrets wrote a long time ago. He took an old copy of MacroQuest and essentially revised it to work in a way that would sideload on a server in ROF2. And it was done really well. But it was organized pretty messily. So all I really did was I took his code and I just cleaned it up and organized a lot of the features into a more structured approach. Because I wanted it to be something that people could leverage as like a core foundation to then mod on top of. Apparently, it's had pretty good success. There's a lot of projects and teams out there that use it as the baseline, and then, you know, you're freely able to add mods on top, which is exactly what Kata did for this server. So, but yeah, I'm adding some of the Nexus features with the server loading of directories. Wait, that's right. It's in this weird building. Not here. It's like, I want to say, is it this way? Yeah, it's these Frostbeards. I have it in one of these shops. Of course, I don't know which one. The heck? Could have sworn it's in here. Oh, it's in the guy in the front. I need silver thread. We'll double check that before I buy. Yep. Does he even sell the cat pattern? No, but that's fine. Anywho. Yeah. So what I basically have done, which is pretty cool, is we took the new baseline, the new folder system, and made it where I hard coded it for now to go to a clean copy of ROF2. So the general idea is that when you load EverQuest, you won't have as messy of a directory structure when you, load assets. And you can do kind of like an override system. What I was even imagining is when you load EQ and it tries to grab an asset, an INI file, a S3D, any sort of asset, it'll first attempt to load in a folder, which I'm still debating the name of. It might be called patch. It might be called server, maybe even customize it for the server's name. That part I'm still kind of debating on. But it'll first check that directory for the file. And if it finds the file there, it'll load it. In fact, there's been talk where, let's say, EQ root dir, right? When you start EQ up, the first directory it'll check is, let's say, something called like mods. These are client-side mods, and this would be the first location to check. Second would be patch. These are patch files from server. The next would be LS. But I'll probably create a whitelist of what's allowed for LS because it'll have assets that aren't. And then finally it'll do ROF2. So this whole flow normally would just load from ROF2 in the local directory. But what's cool is there's no rule that the EQ root directory has to contain any of these files. So you can basically leverage my program, the one I was talking about, ROF2 Plus, as your your start EQ platform, but it'll also configure these paths so that you can essentially manage multiple servers without ever having to copy all of like the ROF2 files. You can literally just make a new folder, start up ROF2 Plus, configure it so that it points to the paths properly, and that's it. It'll boot up. All the files that are related to that server will only be in the, based on the EQ root directory. So maybe it'll be like EQ mods, right? So that's EQ path for mods and EQ patch, right? And this might be in like C drive games, EQ, LS, What's cool about this is if you server hop, the only files that are different when you go between servers, it's just going to be your EQ root directory and the mods and the patch for that specific server. Now Nexus actually redesigned this where patch can be like per server, and we could still technically do that, and that could be pretty cool. But I'm not so worried about that. What I'm more worried about is just this dynamic folder system. In fact, that's what I called this, was dynamic folder. One of the biggest perks it gives is that you can clean up your EQ root directory. I'll show you an example of it here in just a second, but you don't have a bazillion files in your EQ root directory anymore. Basically, only files that get modded go into your root directory, which makes it so much easier to find the startup program, which in my case would be RF2 Plus. All right, we're out of furs. We got 223. I'm going to go talk to them real quick. Yo. Just wanted to update that. Thank you for the vials.
You're welcome.
And let me know the price later or whatever. I'm already down to 9.
I know. It's for one stack of vials, for the poison vials and the emeralds, it's 1,462 plat.
Okay. So what does that math into? Like, how much was that 100 for me
that
to...
was 1,462 plat to make that.
Okay. What I'll do...
Exactly.
Is I'll just give you 2,000 plat per 100. Okay. That makes it easier, right?
Yeah, you just let me know when you want more. I bought more materials for it, so I could I just gotta swap over and make more.
So is it Barnacle?
Huh?
Your name's Barnick. That's right. Yeah. Before I sent the money, I needed to verify it. I'm glad I did. Okay, well, so you have 2,000 on Barnick now. Okay. Let me know when... if you get time later, make me another 100.
Yeah, I'm just doing epic turn-ins now because my wife started playing and James made a Shukron copy, so I'm doing 2 SK epics and a wizard.
No, you're all good. Again, no rush because I'm out of Othmurfers, but I need them obviously to get to 44.
Mason should have sent you some.
He did. I already ate them.
Okay.
Yep. Even with those, we are now up to what I just said in guild, which was 223 tailoring.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, I'm on stream. I just wanted to stop by and let you know.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you. And then, yeah, at your leisure. This is not a rush because I don't even have the furs yet. But
yep, no problem.
Yep. Thanks again, dude.
Yeah, buddy.
Yep. Anyways, so we did some tailoring. We got that leveled up. Let me go ahead and share uh, the folder structure. Still work in progress, obviously. Like, I need to do some additional cleanup on it, but it's so much cleaner than what you're used to. Ironically, stab face, I probably will not farm fleeting quivers unless there's a high demand, because it's just, that's not even why I'm doing tailoring, but it's definitely some work. So this is my directory so far. There's a few files in here that likely will be removed later, specifically the DB string. But look how much cleaner this is. This is literally what starts EQ. In fact, if I double click ROF2+, you can see here, I set an environment variable and I boot it up. So like EQ just started and there's no executable here. So this would become an executable. This will be the RF2+.exe, but this will do kind of be like your starter panel. I kind of envision like StarCraft 2 when you double click it. I mean, really EQ patcher, right? But it'll be a little bit more GUI friendly, I guess, than EQ patcher. But it'll be your starting point, and that'll boot up the game. It'll also let you configure things like, validate your files. I'll probably have a launcher on it for a client-side modder, because I don't want to handle client-side modding with RF2+, but it needs to be aware of client-side modding. And what I mean by client-side modding is there'll be a third-party tool that it works like Nexus Mod Manager, So you'll be able to browse various client mods and download them and apply them, and also create a priority system with it, and probably design it where I have to see, like, one thing I would love to do is design it where when you're doing this step, the client-side mods, having an option per file that basically states either replace or add, meaning that it'll add assets overriding existing data, or it'll replace it and become like the stop, right? So it won't leak into the old data. Because if you can do add, this would allow for some really, really cool mods where all you're downloading is the assets that were added, but it's not actually removing the old S3 data, right? So you still load the original content. However, yeah. So this whole replace or add could also be really cool on the LS step. And heck, even on the patcher, that could be a really, really cool flow. That's probably my milestone after I get it a little bit more finished. But yeah, just this alone is really cool. As you can see though, all the INI files, like my characters, I was joining a server called JF. So all of the edited files are here. Logs are the files that are generated whenever you start EQ. Backup's empty. Maps, I'll probably redirect later. And I did get render effects to not be required anymore. I can delete that. Resources, I'll probably see if I can also get that to supersede. In this case, this is all that's required at ROF2 level. Well, technically, all you need is this. And technically, this isn't even required. Once I get the patch system working, I'll probably make it, or not patch. Yeah, like when the patch folder exists, right? This would basically be all of your EQ assets. And this is where the D input 8 would reside. So when EQ starts up, it'll use the path lookup and recognize that patch has a DLL override and use that is the plan. So anyways, no, it's a really interesting design. This right here, in my opinion, alone is a huge win, where EverQuest is not an absolute mess anymore. I may be able to override the paths for some of these files, like EQ client. I could put that into like a config directory. And so then as EQ loads, all of these assets can just reside in a, upper directory. And I'm kind of debating though. I'll maybe have like config and then maybe have like the server name, so like THJ. And basically or in this case, it'd be JF. So like any file that's specific to a specific server, specifically, would go into the servers folder. Maybe even have servers, and then, JF would be inside of that. I don't know. I'll debate that, the config stuff.
Mulligan's Gaming Pub. Thanks for the 100 bits.
Yep, thanks for the bits. Heck, this may even just want to be INI. And what we could do is make it where in INI, there'll be subfolders. Right? So the idea is this. When these files load, they either are going to be server based, or if they could be client based or server based, kind of like this. By the way, thank you for the bits, Alex. Shuriken. So, if I did something like that, some of these files may not be required anymore either. But yeah, you can see this would be huge. Make it where INI files that are not server-based are here, and if they're server-based, they're there. That could be huge. I could actually code that real quick. I know I'm supposed to do my dailies, but I thought this was pretty fun, and this has been my exciting side project. So here's the actual code that's doing the new side loading, all in C++. A lot of this was just converted over from Nexus's work. And you can see I'm hard coding the ROF directory here. What I might actually do real quick, because we don't have an INI loader yet, what I kind of envision is like this. Or even maybe a DIRS file. So this DIRS file would basically be like ROF2 equals, and in this case it'll be ROF2, ls equals ls, patch equals patch. And what this isn't doing is you could actually set this to like C drive, program files, etc., etc. And these are just the paths that each of these files are in. If I expose it like this, it's really easy for players to come in and mod it. Maybe even put this in the INI file. Well, obviously, Dragon, this is not for distribution. This is me testing. This is just me literally hard coding. Like, heck, this directory won't even exist for most people because I took the depot download and put _ROF. But I needed to prototype it, so you guys are seeing me literally just live testing it. Because like this code in general, now that I'm getting a little bit more structural, I'll probably create a caller, make a new function. In fact, I could do that real quick. essentially there'll be a path lookup function that takes in a file name. It was actually going to auto-generate there. So like this. But this will actually have an iterator on it, and we need to do the file exist too. I forget if vector requires standard or not. We're going to assume it does, and we're just going to have paths. Will you auto drain it? There. Yeah, my C++ isn't perfect, so. Oh, wait. Why didn't you end your quote? Does C++ allow you to have comma delimited endings? I think so. So the idea is this. For paths, this would be what DIRS loads later, but it'll be something like this. ROF2, and then like ls, and then like patch, and we'll probably do it in the order. And we'd even have like mods. You know, I'm basically recreating what you see here. Mods, patch, ls, ROF2. Right? And then when you do a path lookup, we look at the file name, we take the current directory, and if we find that in the paths, we're going to just strip it out. That's what this all does. In fact, we could probably you know, do something like this, and we could do this. No. I think so we get the directory location. We're going to do an erase from position onwards. If it's not empty and the final element is 0, then you erase the element. So now we have this clean path. So now we're going to create a file name string, and we're going to make file name equal to stripping the prefix of in, or of file name. And we can also do this so that we don't have to put it in the header. And we're also going to call this source. Even, well, let's actually give it a proper name. This will be like, you know, source file name. That works. So something like this. Yeah, and this is figuring out what I mean to do. So we'll actually do something like this. Well, we won't bother with that, but you don't need to do the routed message. And we technically can just do this. Path equals well, yeah, path is already a const. Oh, I see. We do have to generate this. This is what we do. Okay. So now we can take out all of this and we can actually now just say standard string path equals path lookup of file name. And I guess one issue with this is I can't show routed. I'll put a debug speed here for now. Routed path lookup. That works. You know what I could do? Because this is always going to be a const char at the end, we can go ahead and just return the C string variant. And now we can just call like this. Okay, so we have a fixed list of paths. This will be loaded by dirs later. We have a prefix stripper because most of EQ's directories are based on current dir by default. We probably need to do another stripping for this pattern that I saw on occasion, which is like this. I think that's right. It's usually a suffix though, and I think erase is based on offset, which is the position. The problem with this is this needs to be a trailing. But I mean, dot backback, I think that's only used for this, so we should be fine. Anyways, so now we strip it, we append on our new string, we do some checks, and once we get a validation, we do a lookup, and now we can clean a lot of this code because we don't have to use all this anymore. All we have to say is do a trampoline with our new path lookup with the file name. This hugely cleans up this boilerplate code. Right? I don't believe Nexus or Tempo's work has fully hooked every instance. EQ client is an exception. I'll just put that in there still and then call this afterwards. Even though now we need to add a mechanic where it's like, you know, if extension of file name is ini, look up ina subdirectory is basically what we want. See, Copilot can usually capture these situations pretty clean. Easier than me, especially with const char conversions and stuff. The one issue with this is we still need to strip off the dot // or dot backback, yeah. Let's just do this. File name is this. And then we can go up to this code and just do this. So this is what find returns a size T. And we can go ahead and put this in. And now we don't need that anymore. And then, yeah, we do a path lookup still. Okay. So we're going to leave things like this, and we're going to test how this boots. One issue is, well, the input's still there. I don't think that'll hurt. Nope, we have a crash. We can review this real quick though. So what I've been doing is if I open up this, I have a bunch of debugger messages. And we can see here, it started the loader and immediately crashed with EQ client INI. So it already doesn't like my override for that file. It's probably how I structured my path. Let's see if debug gives us help on Insight. So this is importing or reporting that it got farther than EUNI. INI looks like it loaded up EQLS as well. But you can see it's still generating EQ client on the root directory because this was not there earlier. That's likely part of the issue. But I think I need to add a couple more hooks to make it as clean as this. There's probably some other paths that are being used. And obviously, because these files got regenerated. Also, UI errors.txt. I actually want that to be in logs. Maybe we should do a similar call here and do if it's a text file, put it in logs. We're still crashing, but I'm curious. You can see here, it's still generating INI files in the root. We'll actually delete these real quick. I just want to see how many are actually being overridden properly. I think our stat system needs to do the same thing because it's probably doing a file stat after it writes it. And that's failing. Yeah, you can see their INI is never being written to. And these files are still getting written. So if I had to guess, we need to do this same treatment. And actually, we may want to write another function. Just make it, we'll call this config override. And basically, we'll do something like that. And then if the file exists, actually we don't want this. We literally just want to take file name and then return is there a way to add a prefix to a file? I don't know. And is there a way when using standard file or standard string to prepend string data? Man, I don't know why, but the Copilot in Visual Studio is super wordy. Oh, it's insert. Oh, that's for a specific direction. That works. I can just do insert on 0 and put the ini. There we go. And then we can return this as a C string. That's less wordy, but gets the same job across. And yeah. So now we have a config override. And we're going to call this on here. Let's also do the possessioning code in here. Naming convention could use some work, but one issue though is I think file open is used by both, but maybe it's only graphics that actually needs the dynamic path system. So let's assume that is the case. So this only will need a config override. We'll find out pretty quickly. Speaking of, my path types are inconsistent. I'm going to go ahead and clean that up. So what this will do, if I did it all right, is it'll now load ini files, potentially. Oops. See, now we're getting some interesting artifacts, but... Hey, Broken Stoic, thank you for the raid. That's probably a bug on my return caller. Let's just do this. Well, thank you for the raid. You had a lot of people watching you, dude. Awesome. I am playing EQ, by the way. I'm working on my ROF2 Plus project, so I'm coding in C++, which is kind of rare lately. This is what I'm calling dynamic folders. You can call it hacking. I'm improving the experience of every single EverQuest emulator player right now, even if I'm making a lot of interesting garbled mesh. Let's find out why. It's aimbot. We knew it. Yeah. Yeah, so you can tell the way that I'm doing my string manipulation is incorrect. Because it's trying to route, and let's just breakpoint it real quick, see if we can figure out why. Like, what did I mess up with this? Tag organizer? More like directory organizer, Riddler. let me show you exactly what I'm working on for all the new raiders. If you look at this directory, imagine this being your EverQuest path. So there'll be a single executable, probably ROF2+, but technically you could write your own bootstrapper. And since this is a batch file, it kind of shows you a hint on how this works. You need to set your path so that it includes wherever your ROF path is, and that's just for DLL loading. I might be able to inject this during the boot up, but regardless. And then you can call a subdirectory. In this case, it's calling the ROF2 subfolder and starts EQ game. And the idea is that when you execute it like this, your root directory stays clean. All your configs will go into subdirectories like INI or your log files. And all of your patch files can basically have their own directory. So instead of overriding paths, all of your files are organized in subdirectories. Or it doesn't have to be a subdirectory. The idea, though, is like if you have ROF2 and you download it from the internet, or you get it from Steam, or however you obtained it, you keep this pristine copy and you point your EverQuest, so when it boots up, to that base directory, and it'll pull base assets from it. And then when you run a server and it patches files, all those patch files go to a different directory. So they never override files anymore. And kind of the same idea, like all your server related settings are going to go into a subdirectory. Like in this case, the server's short name would just be an INI. There's all your UI files. And like this is literally what EverQuest would look like when you start your, you join a server. No longer would you have, a bazillion and a half folders and files like this. You know what I mean? All of this can be cleaned up. All of these files are going to be in other directories. And all you'll have is your entry point. And the entry point then calls all the assets dynamically. So it's a pretty huge project, like implications and awesomeness. I'm also planning to add in the ability to do client mods. So like if you're familiar with my client mods, the problem with it, you can like add in classic skeletons, introduce robes to classes that normally don't have it, classic werewolves and classic specters, and even a sound redux. So all these things though require you to replace files in your EverQuest directory. Once I have this working, you'll be able to take all of your client-side mods and put them into mods. And EverQuest, when it loads assets, will look in mods first and load that instead. So you never have to overwrite files. It just cascades the load order based on where it exists. So it's a pretty cool idea, I think. Yeah, that's how you should see it, Fist. I'm doing God's work. If you're not familiar with my ROF2 Plus project, which technically ROF2 Plus doesn't require this whole dynamic folder system, but I think this dynamic folder system is so huge and ROF2 Plus can piggyback it. Exactly, Xiao. Putting CSS into EQ. But the point is, ROF2 Plus is going to give us access to Lorien Song assets, which will be huge for EverQuest and THJ because the number of glamour stones that Kata can expose goes up exponentially. We have a limit right now where, even if he wants to include, assets from latest EverQuest, he can't because how do you distribute those files? The only way you can distribute client-side files that are, provided by Daybreak is if you obtain them through Daybreak. But then you're going to have all these folders, and it's kind of a pain to organize all that. So ROF2 Plus is a helper that guides players on how to get assets not just from ROF2, but it also includes Lorien Song. So once that framework's in place, THJ is going to be able to access assets and have confidence that those assets are going to be on every client, because that's what RF2 Plus does, is it validates and ensures your client, is up to snuff for what the server wants. So anyways, I'm not writing this for THJ technically. I'm writing it for all Ikema servers, but THJ could absolutely benefit from it. And yeah. At the moment, I am debugging why. You can see here, a string is getting passed to my config override. Is this the patcher secret I was talking about? I don't know if it's the patcher. He's probably talking about this. I'm pretty sure he forked to this recently. This is my Ikemu patcher. You guys are all familiar with it because THJ uses it. This patcher was written really agnostic, and Quarm, which is using TACP, is basically forking it and making it work with TACP files as well, so he can distribute files to the client easier. And this was a good project. It's a pretty simple one, like what it's doing. ROF2 Plus, in a sense, is the 2.0 of the patcher, specifically because Ikemu patcher is very limited in scope. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Arm is working on introducing that. Yeah. In fact, they've been pinging me. They're adding in a feature, and I think it's already distributed. I don't keep up with all of their stuff. You can see I'm a little behind. So. Yeah. Anyways, good stuff. Who plays on Quorum here, by the way? And if you do you guys know if they distribute the patcher now, or is that still kind of a untouched area that's being experimented or something? So you can see here, one issue we're going to hit is like new armor tag data is a text file that actually is a subdirectory file. Right on, Fist. Yeah, that makes sense. They probably have to clean up a few kinks because of how how it works. So what we should do is write an exception list. So we're going to just say if file name find, and if it has new armor data, then don't touch it. Yeah. So there's a few assets like this where I'm modding it when I shouldn't be. And we can test it right now. So you can see here, we just received new armor tag data. New armor tag data. And we actually want it to compile and skip these. So we can see here, new armor tag data, and it should hit here, which it does, perfect. Next, we have new armor adjust data. Honestly, if it has the folder of resources in it, then ignore it. That is a safer way to handle this. Because all these resources are not config files. So we got resources of tag data and adjustment data. And here's the debug log. And I'm curious, when this returns, oh, so here's another bug. The original file is called logs.debug.txt. And when I'm returning this, I detect that it has a .txt on it, and then I'm appending logs.txt to it. So it's going to be logs debug.txt, which means that the file is going to be pointing to the wrong direction. So we could just add another detection for that. String searches like this are a little costly, but I imagine in C++ should be negligible for us. Okay. Let's actually breakpoint here. So keyboard.txt, that's actually a good candidate and should go into logs. Potentially. We'll have to double check that. And then debug text, it's this exception. Okay, what else do we got going on? So here's the EQ client one. And you can see it has the ///, which is going to trigger this cleanup. As you can see, it's proper. And then it's going to return with this now in the INI folder. Since we ran this a few times, I don't know. This file is still being written there. Probably just a bug with how I'm doing this override. Might have to fix stats a little bit to do this. And here's defaults.ini. So the question is, did that just write it, or are we still having a... No, see, EQ client still got written to the root directory. So we got more issues going on here. Anyways, so yeah, this is the project that I'm kind of excited to work on, obviously. But let's get back to EQ. Let's do some EQ stuff, you know? Yeah. So in-game autolooter, that is feature request for Kata. You got to remember, I'm kind of one level up on my projects. I don't really add features that are like for a specific server's problem. I'm more focused on like global server features, you know, like things that impact EQEMU as a whole. So, but I agree, looting is pretty bad. You know, they have some improvements on it, but could definitely use some cleanup still. How the heck did I get... Oh, I got a wisdom from my last far Darkler. Interesting. Well, now that combiners are half price, a lot of these shittier OGs are actually a little bit more valued. Which is kind of cool. Anywho, let's go do Sleeper. Let me load up all my cool shit, because I'm pretty sure I got it all set up so you See it all clean. So one of them is probably still really buggy, which is my Shin Spark. Crit Sprinkler should be in pretty good shape. Let's get these loaded. And we're going to go to secondary recall. So there's Crit Sprinkler. These actually need to be moved up a hair. Pretty confident. And then this is the I got a big health bar in the bottom center of my screen. That's the one that's buggy. So I apologize if it's a little distracting. Oh, it looks like my guy's up. I want to go kill him real fast. Okay, why aren't you... Did I leave it with bad status? I probably did. Yeah. It's just gray and it's not doing my cast bars. Oh well. But I am getting this down here. Just like my active targets are bugged. That's a huge dump on my thing. X debug. Where's my hex? I'm not seeing. Jeez. That's a lot of data I dumped on that. Interesting. Well, I reloaded it. Let's see if we can get the targeting to work. Yep. So the health bar is going to do weird things, just warning you. But you can see on the bottom, as I apply debuffs in dots, it's actually tracking the state of each one on the bottom of my screen. So this is similar to like weak auras, if you're familiar with that. And it's a cool little addition that I'm also experimenting on.
Enraged.
You also can probably hear the different sounds. And you see my currency bouncing on the right side. That's a feature on Crit Sprinkler. I still need to clean up and release. As per usual, I have a bazillion projects. But really enjoying the weak auras. The health bar, I don't know if there's really going to be anything about this that's like, you know, super amazing. Oh, someone's here already. Are you killing it? What's the plan here? I don't think he was there when I looked earlier. He might be, he could have been, but I didn't see him on the map. I have map filter turned off for him. PC's set to show. Well, if he comes back from AFK and asks about it, happy to give the item to him. But because he's just sitting there, I'm going to trigger it because I don't think he does anything else anyway. Oh, he might KS me, actually. Should I mana burn it? Oh, I can't even tell if he's there or not. Be interesting, actually, if he does kill it before me with his pets. Maybe. I don't know. I can use rage to really seal the deal.
Enraged.
You can't really AFK camp this. But yeah, I definitely did more DPS than him. His pets did 1.5k while he was AFK, and I did 2.7. He was 1,000 damage near. Petcock definitely is strong. Well, anyways, when he comes back, it's actually a pretty safe spot to AFK. I'm not necessarily KSing him, but if he comes back and he, you know, he wants the instance, or he wants the items, I'm cool with that. I'm just going to farm it because I saw it up. Another thing I'm going to clean up real quick is Chin Spark has this cast bar, and I'm probably going to put it over here. Something like that. And then hit save. Which one do you want, Riddler? I have a lot of random shit I'm working on. Crit Sprinkler, I need to shift up a little bit more. Something like that. Yeah. I plan to revamp it. Like, you see that bug right now where it's just showing the text and not the cast bar? This has to do with the UI that I'm using. It has a bug where this cast bar, if it gets too small, it stops showing it. You see what I mean? And then I have to like tab into it and then click it. And now we're getting the cast bar. So if you guys are familiar with Elf UI, oops, I went the wrong way. I'm actually sort of modeling Elf UI on this stuff. So, like these two health bars, I'm probably going to split and make it just like Elf UI. And then the cast of the enemy and the cast of you will go below it and probably, you know, directionally do the same too. And, you know, these buffs here on the left that are on the top row, I'll probably put these underneath the enemy because these are technically target buffs or, you know, target debuffs. And then on the below me, I'll keep the other row because these are self buffs. So the general idea is that, you know, the right hand of my screen has all of the statuses for target player or mob, and the left side is, you know, you. The general goal of my whole design is that when it's all done, you'll notice the layout of my UI makes it where if I cut my video horizontally, or sorry, vertical, like for, you know, highlights or YouTube shorts and stuff, it'll all be cut clean. So all you see is the health bars, the prominent data, and all of the noise of like XTAR, you know, all the data I have here, all the map info and all this junk is not on screen. Yeah, what is my swimming school up to? I mean, I'm mastered, Dougal. It's just swimming is slow. I lived in Kedge for a while, so that makes sense. All right, we're going to Bazaar. Buff up. And zone back in when we're ready. So Unload buffs. Okay, so do my quick buffs, put on my mount, put on my shields and stuff. So I still have a bug where you see here, Spirit Armor is casting too fast. I need to figure out one of the server auth packets is causing that. Wonder if they fixed it, the warders. What was going on with the warders? Okay. Now we're buffed. So we can go ahead and load up our dots. I think I'm going to block this spell. And just use this spell now. Wonder if they fix it, the warders. When you kill the final, it depops the warders and spawns Kara. Okay. Yeah, we'll find out. I think the last time I did it, you'll notice that Kara Firm's animation is sleeping. All right. Let me get some water flying. You see how Kara Firm's animation has him laying down? He stands up when I kill my final order, usually. So, okay. Let's see how everything looks. You can see I'm putting on my buffs. Here, I turn on Rage, but notice it didn't update the packet. I still have a bug with Rage of Wrath. Another thing I'm going to do is put... could put the slow stick in there. But what I'll actually do is take my staff. Nice. See, that's cool. Now I understand. But I mean, I imagine you guys watching, this kind of helps to visualize what I'm doing. Because for the most part, if you just look at my screen and you focus on the bottom section, you get basically all the intel of what's happening, right? You have my health, you have health of the target, you have me casting, eventually you'll have enemy casting. You're going to have prominent debuffs and prominent buffs. I could actually write a debuff indicator as well for me. So like if a mob gives you a debuff that's of note, I can create an exception list for that and make it at least show you that. Especially, oh man, 1 second. Be right back. Usually it's just some sort of like automated message thing that, you know, it's sending out a bunch of emails, but when you hear your work ding like 7 times, it's distracting. Interesting. My tablet is informing me it's about to run out of battery. It somehow lost power apparently. Not sure how. Guess in the plug or something. Let me go check that out. I can pretty much autopilot kill this junk. All right. So we're getting juice. My tablet won't die anymore. I should actually show my camera, huh? Been lazy, but you guys will see that I've shaved. Let's see. So green screen. I think I know why my webcam being dumb. It likes to do this sometimes where it won't activate. That fix it? So it's working with the app. There we go. Ta-da! So yeah, server tick indicator. Actually looked into that a little bit. Positioned a little better. There you go. Because it definitely makes sense in my case because I'm using like, you know, rage. Would be nice to actually know when is the time to actually use it. You can kind of get a gauge of the tick just based on the buffs and the ones that are in seconds. You can see on the bottom, I actually count that down. And, oh man, I'm actually really liking this layout because I can now just basically focus on the bottom of my screen and get all the intel I need. You know what I mean? To play. Because I have all the bars that I care about down here. Once I can get enemy health to work, I have basically everything to play just in the bottom center. The improvement is I still rely on buffs a little bit on the top of my screen. And I mean, technically I could move those down there. You know what I mean? Like I could put them like so. But not sure I want to do that yet. Even something like that. But see, now the bottom feels messy to me. I kind of preferred it when those are actually away. So yeah, I'll go put them back. I was just testing that real fast. Speaking of, I need to put debuffs back on. Or my junk buffs, because this guy dispels and he was removing some. But yeah, I'm definitely digging the revamp. Especially after I get the target health to work. So Colin was the guy that I basically KS'd. And he apparently tried to kill him but didn't know how. So he AFK'd there. And then Google has fixed this. Yes, I was trying to kill him. Do you know his respawn? 4 hours fixed. He has a trigger phase. I told him the trigger phase phrase. Okay. Is there anything I need to prep before I kill him? Obviously, junk buff's back on. Not really. He's pretty straightforward, to be honest. I mean, we can start with a funeral pyre and essentially go for a big burn. With dots. Yeah, see my spell cast times are wrong. Okay, so get Drones of Doom on them. Okay, Drones of Doom got resisted. That's interesting. But yeah, to be honest, if he asked, I might even just offer the items to him, because it's not like I need them. Funeral Pyre, by the way, I need to put on the buff list. I don't even know where that goes. It looks like it's right here or something. No. I know it's a buff somewhere. Maybe it's this? No, it's Gift of Mana. Inner Fire, Soul Fire. Anyways, we're going to go into a improved Twin Cast Burn, because the Warder is about to spawn, and I'd rather do full burn. But yeah, see, my self buffs are... Is Tukarok the bad one? I feel like he isn't, but maybe I'm wrong. So we're going to go ahead and do a defensive. We'll flip over to Rage real quick. Oh, this isn't even an Ancient. That's actually good, right? Alright, so we got 3 more casts with improved Twin Cast, and then we got 10 more with Prolonged Destruction. Getting a little low on health. Let me fix that. Done. Go back to DPSing. We got him down to 50% in 140 seconds. I think we're on track. Doing a pretty good job with maintaining. like a good rotation. We're going to flip to Frenzied because we are done with Prolonged. And we're just looping lures. Keep Cascade on it though. Next time we get low on health, I'll do another Rage. We are getting a little low on mana though. So what I'll go ahead and do is lace in Death Bloom. And the moment they get me low health, I'll just turn on Rage. Got 2 more casts of Frenzied. 1. Okay, turning on Rage. I use Imperators as well. Why is he shaking so much, by the way? Okay, that was 6 seconds. Now we go back to DPS burning. We're still regenning mana from Death Bloom. So let's lace in some life taps. Hopefully we can land them. There we go. Get a Soul on him as well, just for the passive regen. Helps offset the damage from Death Bloom. Okay. So we do still have Focus. I didn't use Focus of Arcanum. I also didn't use Hand of Death. Or Blade Guardian. I forgot those buffs on accident. But that's alright. We're at 266. He's at 15%. Here's the keepers. Alright, so we're going to use... Oh wait, we're still in defensive. So I'm just going to go into life taps mode. And watch for defensive to drop. And let's do another Rage. Okay. It dropped, so when Rage ends, I'll go ahead and go to Furious and use some big taps.
Enraged.
Probably going to be in trouble. Let me see if I can do a ward. I mean, I can tank it all, but it's just a little uncomfy. All right, and now we can just Exodus. And we got an Affliction regular. Court of Velocity, Mask of Warfare, and Metal Arm Guards, aka nothing of use. My DPS, according to EQ Log Parser, on Carafirm, I did 3,000 DPS. Almost 4K DPS, pretty consistently. Just not quite enough to dominate before the Prismatics. But I mean, I still have a good chunk of spell damage to increase, and I'm pretty sure that'll make the difference. Do the keepers always spawn now? I don't know. We could actually look that up. I haven't been looking at quests too much, but I'll be curious to see. Because I always try to high burn them. So Sleepers has Carafirm. All right. So when Carafirm's fighting, we have triggers for the roar. Every every 60 seconds, he does a camera effect. Is this the only time this shake happens? Because it happened twice in a row. Oh, when he's at 20%, 25%. he does stops the timer of AE, does a camera effect for 2 seconds, tells the guards to assist him, and then he spawns ads. So yes, you are guaranteed all of the ads at 25%. So I'm usually trying to kill him as fast as possible so that I can not get the ads, but I think they tweaked it, or maybe it was always that way. Because according to this, well, no, let's see. If E timer equals spawn ads, right? And then spawn ads occurs if HP event's 25. So according to this, you can't just get around it. Like, you just killed the sleeper. I did too, Shao. I just literally killed him, and it's interesting people aren't getting ads. How do you skip the ads is my question. Because according to this, when he hits HP events, it triggers it. Right, Malik. But I'm saying he always spawns his guards at 25% health. Or no, he stops the timer. He sets a timer of 60 times 1,000. So essentially what you need to do, I understand. Okay. So when he gets to 25% and he triggers the guards assist me message, you need to do as much damage as possible from 25%. You got to kill 25% of his health in 60 seconds. That's the only part that matters. So it's not that you need to burn from the beginning. You need to hold burns until he's at 26% health and then high burn. So he doesn't call them at 25%. He triggers a countdown of 60 seconds when he's at 25% health. So all you need to do is you can kill him as slow as you like. You can kill the warder. You can do whatever you want. But at 25% health, he's going to count down 60 seconds. And if you can't take him from 25 to 0, you get ads. Yeah, I didn't know that. I've been using high burns at the beginning and thinking I needed to kill him in X seconds. But the reality is I need to hold my burns until about 26% health and then go high burn and finish him in 60 seconds. Does that make sense? Yeah, I usually avoid looking at this stuff just because it's, you know, it's spoilers. But for some reason, everyone says you just need to DPS them. And I'm like, I am fucking DPSing them. You know, I'm doing it. I'm doing like 4K DPS. And I'm not really, you know, slacking. However, the answer really wasn't you need to DPS him. It's you need to wait until he's at about 26% health and then just burn him. It's not about high DPS the whole fight. It's about high DPS at the end of the fight. That's all that matters. Because, you know, if you burn early, you actually hurt yourself because, you know, it only matters from 26% to 0. All the other time, you can take as long as you want and it won't spawn drakes. So that's the key. Is that repo public? Yes. You should be able to find links to it all over the place, but anywho, let's go in Bazaar. I'm getting all sorts of weird bugs, by the way. Like, I'm going to probably clean up that stuff real fast. How's my time? I'm an hour and a half in. It's 8 p.m.-ish, almost 9. I got some stuff I can sell. That's always fun eye candy for someone watching my stream. You can watch all my gold and platinum bounce. Most of this stuff, though, I'm just going to destroy. Does it scale on it? I'm not fully know what you mean by scale. It's just a passive bonus. And in a lot of cases, that passive bonus is actually pretty good because, yeah, it's like a second chance roll. So it's kind of like, let's say you're going to crit and you fail to crit with your AAs and stuff like that. You get a second chance to crit because you're wizard. We'll just sell all of this. It has some value. I don't know if I ever will care about affliction. I mean, it is burning affliction. I need to sit down and figure out which focus effects I actually care about because I only have a finite number of them. You have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think. Or is it 8? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With 8 Augs, though, I think I should have enough. And I'll keep that then. All the rest of this probably won't sell for crap. Like no value. Because everyone does it every day. Kind of assume, but I like to double check. Is it based on stats or anything? No. So yeah, if you ever look at the source code, I looked it up at one point. This is why I'm reciting this data. Is a lot of Wiz crit components kind of just accumulate passively as one clump %. But wizard native passive stuff is a second roll type of system, like divine intervention or something, as you can consider it the second chance. But yeah. So what do I want to work on? I have a lot of options. I do want to work on ROF2 Plus in the dynamic folder system, but it also would be good for me to do some of my dailies, which I can do like Carners and I don't know. Ardar, I guess. We'll do those. Because they're quick, they're easy. They're actually pretty good money, by the way. For those watching, if you didn't know this, Carners is actually really good money to just mass cash sell. Those arms. Oh, whoops. I'm not allowed to start here yet. I have 12 minutes. Yeah, you're talking about the Elder Spiritist arms. Well, so now that the Unatuner is cheaper, you can technically pay the, what is it, 5K, 10K, and you could take, you know, these lesser ones and turn it into it. Yeah, it's just the junk there, dude. Like, there's a lot of the class armors that drop there, and they all sell for like a few hundred plat a piece. And just all the junk, it actually adds up. Same with Sibyllus, of course. Kunark in general is pretty good with cash drop sells. Don't sleep on Kunark. I'm tempted. Let's do some screen sharing real quick, and let's fix ShinSpark. So ShinSpark's an interesting project because it's using packets, and packets are kind of hit or miss. We're going to do 2 parts right now. The first part is rotation. No, health. We're going to do health. Yafist. Probably good to get your AAs. Let's go ahead and need to start staging my changes. I don't know why I keep storing. Like, I don't even know the changes I've done. And then like this one added health. Pretty much health. So consider I put on a fix for consider because I had one of my structs improper. HP ordering was technically wrong. Spawn, I added a corpse flag. I cleaned this code up a little bit. And this I keep revamping. I really don't know what I'm going to do, honestly, with the long run on spawn. It's still like not what I want. But basically this just adds health. And so what we're doing is there's some bugs with this drawing of the percent healths. So let's tweak that. And that is driving me bonkers that Crit Sprinkler keeps closing and opening. I would love to fix that. I just can't quite figure out why it happens. When I'm like focused and have the taskbar, it just like loves to close on me, and I hate that. But we can start it up once we finish this. So first things first, I kind of want to clean up the 2 bars to look closer to ElvUI. So we could do that real fast. ElvUI comes in a couple different ways, but like this layout right here of, I wouldn't necessarily put the hotbar in the center, but I do like the general design of this. You know? There's a lot of variations. ElvUI is super customizable. Probably will never have that level unless I sit down. It'd honestly be kind of cool to replicate ElvUI with my UI. So like gear score currently is a little fancy, but it would be kind of cool to leverage something similar to this. But one thing I'm curious about, because I haven't used ElvUI in forever, is does the health bars always decrease the same way, or are they tweaked to go different ways?
Ladies and gentlemen.
So we're just going to go look at a video real quick. And hopefully he shows health. No, we just need an ElvUI in action. course, these are all tutorials on how to use the UI, but most of them aren't showing like battling. This is showing battling. Let's see if we can get some health damage. This is an interesting idea where you have damage amounts in there. Again, they're not fighting anything. All I want to see is combat so I can... Oh, that one might be doing. Like, here's a sharp tail. And he never combats it. Literally all I want to see is, does the target frame decrease left to right or right to left? Okay, so here we go. We got one. So you can see here, health decrease right to left, and I'm pretty sure it's the same with this. Okay, that's all I needed to know. Because with this intel, I can clean up this draw field rect to go right to left. We could also borrow the coloring. So let's head up Steam. Yeah, I just wasn't sure was the thing, Gashow. Because I could support both. So what we can do is fill the color with this. I don't know what it is when it's empty. I'm assuming it's a variant of this color. So we'll just use that for now. And we'll just make it full color now. So this alone is probably going to have a huge impact because of the coloring. But we'll see. So now, yeah, see. Now we got to fix the left to right problem, which actually simplifies the code. So let's do that. We want essentially I could just code it the same way that LVUI does it, but for now I'm going to make it fixed. So this means we got to do some math. We're starting in position X, and we have essentially position X with the, window width divided by 2. What I'm actually going to do though is make a health width just to be window width divided by 2. So then we can just say health width, and then we're going to add a offset after. We're going to take out these text draws for now and just focus on the health bars. So we start at XY, and the width is just going to be health width on the first one. And health height, just this. Okay, that's easy. This is the background. So the second bar is filling, what is it, left to right? Is that what we just decided? No, right to left. So this position stays the same. And the second position takes the health width and it times it by the current. And this is literally it. Like, that's all the code needs to do. So this is technically easier than what I was working on. The only difference is now the target health runs the exact same code, and we now say position X can now be offset by health width plus, and then we can put a gap or something, 10. And what we can now also do is take this value, subtract 20. Would it be 20? So x minus 20, add 10. Isn't that going to make the offset off? I feel like it needs to be 20 here as well. So now we have 2 bars. And you can already tell that the layout is incorrect. There's a huge gap on the right. Why is that? Also, yeah, the left looks good, but the right is misaligned. So we're taking the full width of the window, we're dividing it by 2. Maybe this is only subtracted by 10. Yeah, see, that feels better. Oops, I closed it. I didn't mean to close it. Damn it. Try it again. I need to put that on the window to restore. This is why I don't release a lot of my code, is it's so like bare essential made that there's a lot of bugs. Okay, so now we got these huge bars, and we can actually resize it now too. So like if we want them to be smaller, like what you saw on theirs, we just do that. And so now there's the health bar. And as we do cannibalize, not perfectly flushed, but you can see it's representing our health pretty good now. We can also fix the height. Maybe, yeah. I don't like that I have like a minimum height on it. Pretty sure I can set that though. I believe it's in here. Just make it like 10. And now I can shrink it. So there. Feels better already. We obviously still need to fix the health bars, but we're getting somewhere. Another thing we can do is we currently have spawns, corpses, my percent of HP, and my percent of HP is only driven by server auth stats. So me considering myself shouldn't matter anymore. I don't know why it does. The other thing is that mob health, if the mob health is based on my current target, just do this. If target equals response spawn ID, then target percent is that value divided by. Yeah. Let's test that. So the fact that I have no health right now is because server auth stats hasn't updated me yet. But see, the moment I consider something, I get health. That implies I'm getting my health from something else. This code is so messy that like, I don't even know what all is triggering it. So my percent HP, oh, target percent HP is never actually. We can expose this. And honestly, during our update loop, we're doing all this junk, but what we're going to do instead is say, oh yeah, see, there's all sorts of problems in this. All we really want is our health me goal is equal to spawn my percent HP. Yep. And then target is the same. And then we have this delta system. One part we need to do is say, if the target ID changes, then set it. And then also health target current going to just be the goal. This way you don't get a delta increase. And I'll also do like last me ID. And kind of do the same thing. If last me ID is not equal, then set it and then make our health current based on that. This is just the increaser. All right, so we just cleaned up our update loop, and that hopefully will make this work better. But see, again, we're not conning. We're not getting any health info. Mob health is not updating on first target of a mob. I wonder if it's after you get hurt. Let's see. If I do mana convert and I take damage, we're getting updates, but they're not coming through. So this implies that we need to update percent hit points more often. This is great and all, but apparently it's not calling it all the time. Let's do a cleanup of if me equals response spawn ID. Let's see if this works. So I have a bunch of these packets and they all work weird in EverQuest, and we're kind of just trying to fix that. So now you can see my health is increasing, and now we're properly tracking health. So this is just based on target health, mob health. Interesting. So we're not getting updates on our target. Let's go test it with a mob real fast during our next DZ run. Yeah, see, now Carner's is up. Carner. This will also let us test what happens when we zone, if it actually updates properly. Looks like my health is staying a lot better now, even after zoning. All right, where's the captain? Is he up? Captain is to the east right here. Captain, my captain. So the moment I did damage, it's now showing his health. And target change, it still did a delta. Is technically incorrect. It also isn't detecting corpses properly. What we should just do is this. We're resetting the health percent whenever, and I think these won't show until there's a health update. Nope. But now that's working. Of course, you can see there's a bug where every time I target a new mob, it increases from 0. I need to do better detection. And the moment I consider a mob, it now knows my ID and it fixes my health. But just to show you guys the crit sprinkler part, is we're going to mass pull a little bit here. Not even a ton. We're just going to pull like just mobs, you know what I mean, that kind of are in the area real quick. Right? I'm not going out of my way, just a few extra mobs. And, you know, right now my bags are pretty much empty. We'll see how much money I make. Well, at least now my health is more reliable. We're just going to loot all this. One thing that's weird is crit sprinkler, if I don't focus it, but then I start it, it won't render the elements, but it will make sound effects and stuff. So it loaded it. The update loop's working. It's parsing the log file, but it's not rendering the bouncy coins. That's another thing I want to fix. Like, don't know why Ebiton requires focus in order to start the renderer. Wonder if there's like a background mode or something. Okay. So again, just a few mobs, nothing too crazy. And we're going to go in Bazaar. And we're going to go sell. So not even a full bag. And we'll see how much plat I make. And I didn't even get a good drop, because those are worth like 500-ish. So, yep. So just that little bit of mobs that were from Veneral Sathir, a little bit of meandering, not much, killing VS, and selling everything that dropped, I made 650 plat. You can basically double that if you get a single armor drop. And if you get multiple armor drops, like if the, you know, construct of Sathir and other things are alive, you get that much more money. Yeah. I definitely think it's worth looting and doing. So getting back to this, spawn target ID is based on target. Target is being used right here. I'm honestly tempted where if my current health is greater than the goal, instead of doing a delta, we instead just do this. We just snap it to that amount. The reason is, A, this fixes the problem I'm seeing, but it also means that if you switch targets, that works. Plus, if you're getting healed, you want heals to be immediately reflected. You don't want it to be a slow, gradual heal, you know? Again, why are you increasing? I just wrote code to make you never increase anymore. Did I maybe write it backwards? If my current health is greater than this, if it's less, let's just do that. If yeah, and then we don't need to do this check anymore. So if our health is less than the goal, otherwise subtract the delta. Which means if this is less than or equal to 0, just set it to 0. That's what we want. Okay. Yeah, so now my health just instantly snaps to the amount. I think it's safe to assume whenever you target a new mob, the health should be starting at 100 and not at 0. But we can go ahead and fix target as well. So we can just say target name and me name. And then we can go ahead and add these renderers as well. So the position, though, is really just going to be the leftmost. Isn't that right? No, so it's the rightmost and the leftmost according to this health, which I'm fine with. So we're going to say we take the rightmost, we add health width, which already has all of this stuff removed. And then the Y is based on health Y, or height. Okay. So that's our health. And his health is going to be just pause Y, right? Or pause X? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You don't have to do this anymore. Okay. Massive simplification of where the titles go, assuming I did it right. The heights are apparently off. Chin is at 1%. And target is at 0. But why is the... It's going to be health height divided by 2. And that should put it in the center. See? And we could actually make it a larger font. which I do have my floating font. I think that's in this code. Nope. So let's grab it from Code Sprinkler real quick. So probably like a bold 36. You can go ahead and add that to Shin Sparks. Too many folders open. I can't tab back and forth easy. Bold 36. We'll move over to you. And we have our loader, which honestly, we can likely just in like this. Perfect. And now we have the option when health is loading to take the bold 36 face. Okay. And then when we draw this font, we use bold 30. Assuming I did it all right, we should now get big text. Crash. Why are we crashing? Line 54 doesn't like the 9 slice. I had this problem before. I don't really get it. Like, it's doing an edit mode call. It's attempting to do a library call. And it's getting an invalid memory address. As if panel container doesn't exist yet. Honestly, if panel container is nil, return for now. You've loaded too early. No. Maybe it's the same issue. Only concern though is this may cause it to never render. Yep, that's exactly what's happening. Which is weird because those windows still exist. I guess the real question is why is panel container nil? That we can find out. So we're loading, saying showing game window. Which implies that it's instantiated health in all these UI elements. Which means that it called open, which means that it loaded this, which means it should have spawned the panel. But you can see here, it never causes this event to trigger. How did that work? Why am I not getting this code to trigger? Because it's not like a thread. It's literally the same line of code. Like health is done. Yeah, see? Health is done. It called this whole chain. Called open. Oh, I'm not returning errors. That's my problem. This key may be failing and I'm just never showing the fail. Yeah. The font not found, font tiny. So why is font tiny not working anymore? I guess it doesn't matter because I took it out. But now rotation is the same error. Just yet another bug I gotta clean up. Oh, that's why. The tiny face was never loaded. That makes more sense. So font tiny is now supported. Yes. And as you can see, we have really big text now. I probably need to move it up a little bit. I don't know why the orientation is putting it low. Because it's supposed to be half of the height. Probably my alignment code. This might fix it. Let's see. Yep, perfect. Of course, my health is 0, but it fixed it eventually. The slight pixel imperfection, but not end of the world. All right, we're going to go do VP. Still have an issue, though, with target not updating. Which does make me tempted to clean that up. One thing I'm not understanding is it's supposed to be triggering font no matter what. You can tell it's not rendering. Oh, wait, I know why. Because we are rendering it behind the screen. The progress bar is above it. There we go. We can tell that target is not updating properly. And target name. Also, we could probably display this as 0.0 and times this by 100. Because the 0.0 with a percent at the end is weird. That is interesting that it shows just 1. What it probably is that it is showing the health of the mob. However, it's not properly showing it. Because of how I'm doing my division. I think the value is 0.01%. Might be because of this. I need to wrap this in a float. We're probably having a rounding error. Maybe. We'll see. No. I'm at 95. They're at 0, apparently. Which is weird. Now he's 1. Where is this coming from? I mean, we can try taking out the divide by 100, but that feels wrong because this value should be base value. Yeah, see now. I'm going to base everything to be 100 by default. Except for here. And we're also going to... Oh, I'm doing this part wrong. This needs to be wrapped in float 32. That was target for some reason and not me. There we go. Of course, now my health is 0%. Oh, now it's fixed. We're still getting some bad values. And I'm guessing it's this. What else is doing a divide by 100? Just these. The mob health is target HP percent. It takes the response health and it divides it. Okay. So mob health is about what you'd expect. So this looks right. I don't think it's mob health that's messing up the value. What else impacts this? The target command might be. But that's weird. Why is... See, 69, 79, and this is coming over as 1. How is this coming over as 1? Let's just clean this up. Something else has to be getting this health somewhere. In the wrong package. So spawn used here. on update, and that's it, right? Yes. So our goal is simply set yeah. This code is easy. Like there's not a lot of complications to it, but for some reason I'm getting weird glitches. Like I don't know what's causing this to report 1%, which is super weird. Even this though, it's reporting like 70. Or in this case, yeah, this mob's right. You can see 39. It went down to 31 and then went to 1 instead. How did it do that? Why are we getting 1? We scroll back through here. My target changed, my target changed. Loot item. We can take out the loot items for now. That's just spam I don't need to look at right now. And casting's fine. I don't know how this is actually getting the target health because HP current health. Not being used at all anymore. Took all that out. You can see here, it recognizes the target. It activates the target. We'll do that too. Maybe this will help. Maybe we're just getting remnant data. Yeah, see, like right now, we're not getting target updates. Why not? Oh. Target name is never set. That's why. Obviously, the target data won't be in the spawn table if you just log in. So you're just going to get spawn ID, which is fine. But we're still not getting percent health, which is weird. Let's just do this. Again, set the mouse, or the mob health on target command. Let's see if that puts it at 1 or 100. Should put it at 1, 100%. And it's not. Why not? Oh, because I have a return gate, and the return gate can make it where it doesn't pull from the data. What I probably should do is say something like that. So if the spawn has HP current in its cache, then pull that. If it's not, just wait for an update. All right, so now we're getting 100s. And let's hurt him. See, we went to 1. So minus the 1 problem. Ugh. See, he's fine. Then he just flips to 1 during an HP update or something. I don't know what's 1.
Enraged.
Is it possible a division problem? Yeah, see, target mob health looking perfect. Pretty sure it's a division problem. Okay. So let's test this again. Again, it like decreases well, and then once it hits a certain percent, it just hits 1% and then breaks. You're 82 and you're 82. I turn on attack real quick. I go to 78, it breaks, it does a rounding error and sets it to 1. See that? Mob health looks good. I guess let's debug it with this is going to be super spammy. But I want to see if I can. Yeah, so this is showing 1, which implies that this value. Why is this number? even if this is 1, why is this just being displayed as the value of 1? Because isn't this getting multiplied by 100? Right here? Is this a rounding error in multiplication? That feels wrong. So you can see it's 37. It went down to 0.2. It rounded it to 1, which is fine. It's a precision error. So let's test that again. See, once I hit 56, again, it's rounding it wrong. Honestly, I might just turn this into a uint 8. Because it's not like we get high precision anyways. And this will make a bunch of errors, but all these errors I can easily fix. Ooh, me goal, I should say this actually. So me goal is this value. This value is in a high float. With a 0.1 increase per frame, should be okay. So we divide this and then we make it uint 8. Ooh. Well, this is just server auth stats. Okay. The other thing is my percent HP. There. So we have a very simplistic 0 to 100% health. And now we have 10,000%. Because we're multiplying it here. So we can take that out. And we're literally just displaying the float value. Oh, I'm probably doing the same. We got this. A lot of little work, but there. And now if we canny, apparently my mob health is not updating. The moment I consider myself, not updating. Technically a different problem. You know, this shouldn't be that hard. I don't know why I'm having like compromises and cleanups constantly with it, but the moment you con, well, apparently I'm still not getting my health anymore. But I am getting target health. And again, she's fucking 1%. Where is that bug coming from? Like, why are we having this rounding error of like 0.98 becoming 1. I don't even know where that code is. Do that error. Maybe I'm just assuming. Right now. Oh. I still do division here. This is a problem. So when we target mouse, we look for the spawn. The spawn has HP current. We do not divide this by 100. We literally just return. That's one of the issues. Actually, this issue is all over the place. What else is dividing by? So when you run a target command, I mean, honestly, I need to wrap it. Okay. That finally fix it. We will see. Okay. Minus that it's not actually reporting my health properly. I don't fully understand why. I feel like everything I'm doing is 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. Apparently crashing, just zoning into Ishan's Peak. Room is getting really hot. Wonder why. grabbed a snack. All right. Again, it's fucking putting 1% for me. And then the Elder Flame Protector, we do need to clean up its name real fast too. Simple as that. I wonder if this is a bug specifically with me as a player, where it's just stating that my health is 1 by default with the spawn packet. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening here. And so what's happening is when I target myself, it's defaulting to that value. See, 1. Where Elder Flame Protector is properly, we got to take off the suffix. I need to do that, honestly, in clean name. This is the problem with having so many projects, is it's like, I want to do one thing, and it turns into like 20 other things. Okay. No. That works. A little hacky. Another thing is, what's going on? Oh. Well, unless you're me, Powerwalk, there is, I don't alt, so I can work on weird shit like I am right now instead. Okay, so this will fix the name, but I need to fix the HP %. Apparently, there's this fallback mechanism where if it equals, does not equal 1, honestly, if the response ID is me, just return. We don't need to bother with the HP current setup. I'm a special case. But honestly, let me just do this. Jesus, Powerwalk. Or you can just make other accounts and not get all diehard on the veteran AA that's broken as fuck and has been since inception. and actually give yourself a challenge, making an alt and not just easy mode it. Yeah. All right, so that fixed the percent system. Now my problem is my health is still at 0%. I probably get that packet on HP updates. But see, now it's like I don't have health. Also, he just dropped to 0 out of nowhere. Okay, so my hit points from stats is 1 and 0. So why is my stats from hit points 1 and 0? See, the problem really just comes down to all the bullshit that EverQuest packets do when it comes to health. And I'm just unable to handle all of them without a lot of rigorous diligence, because it's like the player profile packet that happens at the beginning of the spawn is used as a delta. Mob HP sends updates with deltas. Then spawn data with your entity is just returning the value of 1. But then because we have an override system using Edge, we also send current hit points through a division of max and current. So the problem with that data, though, is apparently when I'm dividing it, it's just returning 1 based on the division, even if my health is really at 81%. And also there's other bugs going on here. So it just takes me forever to just write stupid shit because of like all these nuances and, you know, 20 some odd years of technical debt that the EQ client has, just stepping in with my tool, like having to reverse all that bullshit. And it's just time consuming. Not to mention my own bugs laced into it. Anyways, we're going to use Furious. Blow this shit up. Bye. And heal by killing. Fucking see that thing that they do? Super annoying. And I'm dying. Am I like unable to fucking land an AE? Like, it's not like these mobs are that hard, but apparently I can't stay up. And they're debuffing the shit out of me. I mean, I understand the Ragnars's hit pretty hard and stuff, but I think half these mobs I can't even hurt, so there we go. Guess they have a lot of hit points too. And they're fucking healing each other. I think that Azure Skywing does that. But see here, 63% looks good. I nuked them and the health didn't update. In fact, it's now off. It's lowering. Oh, it's lowering really slow because my delta is too slow. So it is working, but when his health drops too much. Oop, what happened there? That was weird. Yeah, you can see it. My deltas are broken. We're getting better. Even though I fucked over my health at one point. And it's because my percent hit points from stats is broke. I think this needs to be multiplied by 100. Will fix me. And then, oh shit, buff me if I do that. And that might fix me. And then for enemies, the delta needs to be increased. We'll do it like 0.1. Let's test that out. Okay, yes. Let me go back to the window. Okay, now I lost it. I lose it. There we go. So now it's still a little too slow, even with a 0.1. So let's do like a 0.3. God damn it. I don't like how Windows manages. I really like Linux and how predictable like window management is, how Alt Tab works. Like you just saw there, I Alt Tabbed to go back to EQ because that was the window I had focused. And because another window stole focus, when I Alt Tabbed, it decided that means I want to go to the next app. So, anyways. So, I have health now. Target health is still broken. And also my health is supposed to be being set to 81. You can see it here. My percent from stats is 82. See that? So this value should be getting set. My percent hit points is currently 82. My update loop calls my percent hit points and sets that as my goal. If my ID is not set, I have this ID change, but that's not getting called. Yeah, health me goal is set to this. If the goal's not set, my current health is less than the goal, then set the goal. Otherwise, oh, this is broken. That's supposed to be a greater than. That's fucking it up. Again, user error mixed with weird buggy logic in the game. There we go. Now when I lower health, see that? Now it's clean. Nice little progress. Progress is technically a little slower than the health updates we get. Maybe I'll increase it a little bit more, maybe a 0.4 per frame. Because I want to just simulate what in-game does. They have a delta as well. So, yeah, see, that feels perfect. Maybe a little slower, not horrible. And see, when I heal, it's perfect. The deltas are like that. Oop. Nice. Now, my target health is broken, but that also could just be a bug with me specifically. All right, so we're going to go blow this up. Come here. Where are you, Fardar? We'll start with his ad. We don't know his entity because we reloaded the program. He immediately goes to 0%. It's already a bad sign. My health is looking good though. And he's never updating his health. Okay, so why is spawn at 0%? I guess it doesn't matter at this point. We're just gonna kill Bardar. How much should we burn him? Honestly, let's just do standard nuke burn, or dot burn. So we'll use Funeral Pyre, maybe Focus, because Focus has a pretty fast recast. 10, 10. And we're just gonna dot him up. We don't have the lower end dots. And then we're just gonna dot, or now we're just gonna blow them up. I wonder why Pirate Curse didn't land. Huh. Guess he's resistant. Didn't know that. But my health is looking a lot better. We've ultimately fixed my health bar, which is nice, because now I don't have to look to the right as much. One thing I'm planning to do, by the way, once I get this really cleaned up, is switch it up so that
Enraged.
this health bar won't just be the mob's health, it's going to be the X target's health.
Enraged.
So now this protector is showing 64. Then when a mob hit point update happens, it immediately goes to 0. See that? 0, 4. So obviously one of my deltas is wrong. On this guy, that was interesting. Corpses are showing up with health. Oh, we gotta fix that. We did get a Crown of Ryle, which I do need to level up one, so that's kind of good. I also, god damn it, did I do that again? I think I did. So a problem I have is that I set on my looting auto inventory. You see that? And the problem is when a power source finishes, I auto inventory it and I put it up in the top slot. And then when I do inventory cleaning, I delete a lot of my items blindly. I know nothing up there matters. And so I think this is the second time. Oh no, never mind. Never mind. So Cammy's is okay because it's still in the slot. But I've deleted items that I was leveling up with power slot because it auto inventoried up here and then I deleted it. And yeah, that wasn't good. I was worried I did it again. But we're good. We're good. All right. So we need to clean up one of the health percents, but other than that, we now have a little bit more reliable player health. Which is interesting. Why does my stats not update until after I con a mob and get my ID? Is my ID in here somewhere? Yes, this doesn't need to be there. That fixes it so I don't have to consider it anymore. I'm like, why do I have to con to get my health? Perfect, see? This is now super reliable. I've pretty much fixed me in my health bar, which is very nice. Nice, it's big, it's obvious. Doesn't say my name though until I consider, but I don't really care about my name anyways. Good night, Bill. Yeah, I'm probably going to be ending here pretty soon. We did a lot of good progress. I just need to fix some of my bugs with the target health bouncing. Then I got to move on to X target, which is a whole other can of worms. My buff indicators are also broken. So many things are broken, but whatever. It's the name of the game when you're writing weird, innovative shit. Part of the reason I'm not distributing this, by the way, is that if you are boxing, like if you have a trader, I don't differentiate between your characters very well. I just generically pick up packets, and I need to fix that to be more aware of which client you're actively playing. Indeed, Bill. And until then, there's going to be a lot of weird edge cases that people are going to have. So, but we're making progress. And overall, I'm relatively happy. Yeah, I'm definitely innovating, that's for sure. Really hoping I can get some progress with this ROF2 Plus dynamic folder system. That's another big project of mine I would love to get a little further with. But yeah, for the time being, let's go ahead and stop the stream. Go find somebody real quick. I found it funny though that like Broken raids me, and he raided with like 109, and I'm just chilling writing code, and almost immediately the player count drops to like 75, and then quickly after that it's like, you know what I mean, I lost another 20 or 30. Granted, it could also just be super late, but I just thought it was funny how much I dropped by doing code stuff. But let's try a Zentoke. Let's go ahead and raid Zentoke. Oh, actually, let's raid a friend of mine, Chelsea. Not EverQuest related, but why not? It's just a person I know. She's really cool. I've never raided her before. But it'd be fun. He's playing Don't Starve together. Yep. That's how I see it too, Powerwalk. Yep, thanks for hanging out, Bill Sharp, and everybody else. Always appreciated having company. And yeah, have a good one. Hope you had fun on THJ. Looking forward to the weekend. I can really get some progress done. And indeed, have a good one.